It's no secret that the middle class has a major spending problem. In fact, 83% of Americans admitted to overspending. And even worse, 44% of those that admitted to going over budget claimed that they used a credit card to make those purchases. And if people were more financially stable, that would be one thing. But when we consider that more than half of Americans could not cover an unexpected $1,000 emergency, then we realize we have a real problem. Our consumerist tendencies are even more concerning when we consider the state of the average American's retirement savings. According to bipartisanpolicy.org, only 39% of people have a plan for retirement, even though 76% of people admitted that saving for retirement is a good thing. So, what is so great that Americans keep spending their money even in the midst of a personal finance crisis? Well, let's dive into just that. For this video, we're going to go over a few of the ways that the middle class burns through their money. But before we do that, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can stay in the loop on all of my latest videos. We're also trying to get to 350 subscribers, so I would really appreciate it. Thanks. The first way that Americans waste their money is through impulse spending. In fact, Americans spent on average $314 a month on random, sudden impulse purchases in 2022. That's over $3,700 a year. And social media is not helping with this. I cannot even get on TikTok anymore without seeing some ad for something that's being promoted in the TikTok shop. We live in the age of ultimate convenience, and while that can be nice, it also means that it's very convenient for us to spend our money, which is not a good thing. Now, you can impulse purchase really just about anything, and later on in this video, we're going to talk about some of the specific items that the middle class wastes their money on, but I wanted to touch on impulse purchases first because I think it's a big deterrent to actually achieving financial success. And I think that if we truly want to understand why impulse purchasing is a thing, then we have to look at how it relates to mental health. A study done by the American Psychology Association suggests that higher levels of perceived stress and social isolation can lead to an increased pattern in unhealthy shopping tendencies. And when you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Social media has done a lot of good, but we have to admit, it has not been the best for our mental health. As people isolate and compare themselves to whatever they're seeing on their phone, it makes sense why buying material goods can alleviate some of that burden in the short term. And short term is key because that's just a temporary fix to whatever issues you may be experiencing. And if you keep getting in the habit of buying things to get that dopamine hit, it's going to lead you down the path of financial ruin, and your mental health is probably going to be worse off because of it with that added stress that you're now feeling. The truth is that everyone is guilty of impulse purchases from time to time. I feel the urge to go buy something I want all the time, and I think that it's going to make me happy and solve all of my issues, and it's just not true. So here's what I do to help combat that problem. If there is something I really want, instead of buying it right in that moment, I set a waiting period for myself. If it's a smaller purchase, I might wait a week. But if it's something bigger that I really want that's going to cost a significant amount of money, I might wait months, or I might even wait a year if it's really big. And what that's going to do is it's going to offer me clarity during that waiting period on if I actually want that item, or if it was just a fad and I'm only going to use it once or twice and then never pick it up again. Because that's what usually happens with impulse purchases. We use them once and then they just go in the trash. It's a waste of money. The other thing that you can do to help find clarity is hit that subscribe button. Again, we're trying to get to 350 subscribers, so I would really appreciate it. Thanks. All right, the next thing that the middle class wastes their money on is paying for convenience. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I'm really just referring to spending money on things that save you time. Now, before you start yelling at me, this is definitely a balance. Because in my opinion, getting your time back is actually one of the best things that you can spend your money on. And I spend a lot of money on this. However, there is a limit and a balance, and some people take it a little too far, especially considering their financial situation. For example, let's take a look at meal prep services, the ones that ship ready-to-eat meals right to your front door. And it saves you a lot of time because you don't have to cook, your meals are just ready to go, and there's a lot of convenience behind it. However, if you were to have those shipped to your house for lunch and dinner every day, then that could cost you $200 per week or more. If you're single, you'd be able to grocery shop and cook your own food for less than half of that. Now, if you can easily afford it, I don't see a problem with it. But if you are fully investing in your retirement or you have some other aspect related to your finances that you need to take care of, then you shouldn't even be looking at services like this. You gotta shop, you gotta cook, and you gotta save money. And speaking of food delivery, don't even get me started on DoorDash. It's crazy. The total of fees per DoorDash can be $12 or more. And if you're in a financial bind, you should not be eating out at all in the first place, but you really shouldn't be doubling the price of your meal by having it ordered directly to your door. Again, if it's something you can afford and want to do every once in a while, then fine. But to me, it's just a waste of money. But to bring things back and to summarize, again, I am all for spending your money to get your time back. It's probably what I spend the most money on, but you cannot do it at the expense of your financial stability. And I see that a lot of people just get ahead of themselves and start spending too much money on these types of things. Sometimes you have to put in that sweat equity while you're still getting on your feet financially. And then later down the road, once you're well along the path of your wealth building journey, then you can start to buy things that add some added convenience in your life. All right, this one might seem like it came out of left field, literally, but the third thing that the middle class wastes their money on is their kids' sports. Now, don't get me wrong. I think getting your kids involved in sports and other hobbies and extracurricular activities is awesome for them. I have absolutely no issues with spending money on your children for them to do things that are going to help them develop and do things that they enjoy. There's no issue with that. However, there is a level that is very extreme that I see a lot of people doing. And it tends to be for sports like gymnastics, volleyball, baseball, and hockey, and there's a lot of others. But I've seen a rise in these clubs and travel teams where they cost thousands of dollars to be a part of. According to this Redditor, their son's hockey team has a tuition of $7,300, and that does not even include the travel expenses associated with being a part of the team. I think a lot of people need to realize that their kid is not the next Sidney Crosby or LeBron James, and they need to stop putting their financial futures in jeopardy just so that their kids can play on these elite exclusive teams, which usually, calling them elite and exclusive is usually just a marketing tactic to get you to spend more money. And again, I want to make sure it's super clear. You should spend money on your kids' activities and sports, but just don't go too far. You have to be careful. All right, we're at the big one. This is probably the most talked about thing that the middle class wastes their money on. And of course, it's cars. We Americans just absolutely love our cars, and we love to take out bad car loans to buy them. According to NerdWallet, the average new car payment had a monthly payment of $734 with a 6.84% interest rate. And the loan lasted for over 68 months with an average loan balance of over $40,000. And surprisingly, the average credit score for those with a new car loan was about 750, which is actually much higher than I would have expected for such a bad loan. The truth is that it's going to be very hard to get ahead financially if you're spending over $700 a month on high interest debt like this. And that's not even considering that the loan is for a depreciating asset. So you're literally just taking out debt to then light that money on fire and lose value. And we can't help but keep doing it to ourselves. According to NASDAQ, 2/3 of Americans only owned their cars for 5 years or less before swapping it out for another one. We gotta stay up to date on that fresh debt, am I right? No, but seriously, when it comes to buying a car, I think that there are two options that are good. The first, obviously, is just paying for the car with cash. This is obviously ideal if you can afford it, so you can just stay out of debt and be done with it and own your car outright. However, if you do decide to finance your car, I generally like the 23/8 rule that the Money Guy show teaches, which states that if you do take out a loan on a car, you should put down at least 20%. You should have a loan length that's no longer than 3 years, and your monthly payment should not be more than 8% of your gross monthly income. That way, you're putting enough down on the car. The length of the car loan is short, so you're going to get it paid off as quickly as possible, and it's not taking up a large percentage of your income, so you still have income to invest and save towards your future. But that's enough on the car. Last but not least, let's talk about those pesky subscriptions. We live in a time where you have to have a subscription to access the heated seats that are already built into your car. It's crazy. The average American has 4.5 subscriptions and pays almost $1,000 a year for those subscriptions. Not as bad as I would have thought. But you still have to be careful because the scary thing is that these subscriptions seem small when you sign up, but they can add up as you get more so that you have a large monthly expense every month. For example, I spend like 60 bucks a month just on subscriptions to make videos for this YouTube channel. And it's not like this is my career. I only have a few hundred subscribers. Now I budget for it, so it's fine. But my point is there's a lot of different areas of your life that can generate these opportunities for subscriptions, and it can add up very quickly. Whether it's music or work or entertainment or fitness or really just about any other area of your life, there's going to be a subscription for it. Make sure you're keeping track of what your subscriptions are and make sure you're properly budgeting for them so that you can make sure they're not getting out of hand. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. Do you disagree with anything I said in this video? What do you think the middle class spends their money on? Make sure to hit that like button, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.